Welcome to the Consolidated Planning and Monitoring, CPM, March 2019 Data Review Mini-Webinar. The agenda for today's session begins with an overview that consists of LEA school and JDC data tables, data under review, count details, pull dates, examining your district's data, discrepancies and revisions, data highlights by program area, checking your data in EIS, resources, and contacts. Starting with the overview. For CPM's March 2019 data review, 3 data tables were emailed to federal programs and EIS contacts between March 19th and March 21st with the subject lines CPM LEA data, CPM school data, and CPM JDC data. The LEA table was emailed on March 19th to federal programs and EIS contacts in all districts. The school table was emailed on March 20th to Title I and EIS contacts in all districts. The JDC table was emailed March 21st to Juvenile Justice and EIS contacts in the 17 districts with Juvenile Detention Centers, JDCs. Data under review. The tables include data downloaded from the department's EIS database in the areas listed below: direct certification of economic disadvantage, English learners and transitional students, ESL teachers, foster care, homeless, immigrant, juvenile justice, migrant, military dependents, residential mental health, runaway, and Title I. Count details. The tables contain unduplicated district or school counts of students enrolled in grades pre-K through 12 anytime during the school year, even if they are no longer enrolled in the school or district. The LEA tables include data for 2018-19 and 2017-18. The school and JDC tables include only data for 2018-19. The counts include only students with primary enrollments to avoid double counting students with service enrollments. For data definitions, please see the notes below each table. Pull dates. The data were downloaded from EIS on March 18th, except the migrant data, which were downloaded from EIS and MIS 2000 on March 12th, and the 2017-18 homeless data, which were downloaded from EIS on July 31st, 2018. Revisions entered in your Student Information System, SIS, in DIS after the pull dates will not be reflected in the counts. Examining your district's data. Review the data in the tables and look for anomalies. Are your data complete and accurate? Are there unexpected increases or decreases? Are there inconsistent trends across groups or programs? For example, direct certification is high, but no or few homeless students have been identified. Or the homeless rate is high, but no or few foster care students have been identified. Discrepancies and revisions. Identify discrepancies and determine whether revisions entered in your Student Information System and uploaded to EIS have already addressed the discrepancies, or whether revisions in your SIS and EIS are necessary to eliminate them. As you revise your data, use the EIS research queries to confirm that your data uploaded correctly. Data highlights by program area. J Direct Certification Student Classification. As of March, roughly 367,000 students were flagged with the J Direct Cert student classification. By contrast, nearly 390,000 students, or 36% of students statewide, were identified as directly certified for the 2017-18 school year. Use the Student Classifications Research Query to check your data. Enter revisions to SIS and EIS as needed. English learners and transitional students. The LEA data tables emailed to you include counts of English learners, students with the L and W English language backgrounds, and students transitioning from ESL, those with the 1, 2, 3, and 4 English language backgrounds. As of March, compared to the 2017-18 school year, L's, W's, and 4's decreased by 10, 85, and 1,000 respectively. By contrast, 1s, 2s, and 3s increased by 550, 1,100, and 2,000 respectively. Please check your data and submit revisions where needed. ESL teachers. For the state, the number of ESL teachers with the EL assignment code increased from 1,229 in 2017-18 to 1,451 in 2018-19, or about 18%. Yet some districts report fewer teachers with the EL assignment code in 2018-19 than in 2017-18. Please check your data and submit revisions as needed. Foster care. Foster care students are children placed away from their parents or guardians by the Department of Children's Services, DCS. LEAs identify foster care students from the list that DCS provides school nutrition each month. As of March, 7,556 students were flagged with a FOS-01 foster care student classification, or approximately 800 fewer than for the 2017-18 school year. Please check your data, especially if no or few foster care students have been identified. Homeless counts. As of March, the major homeless counts lagged those for the 2017-18 school year by 100 to 200 students. For example, the homeless student count was 18,194 versus 18,365 in 2017-18. Homeless McKinney-Vento served totaled 11,448 versus 11,540 in 2017-18. Homeless unaccompanied youth totaled 1,204 versus 1,290 in 2017-18. 15 districts had identified no homeless students, which seemed high given the prevalence of doubling up for economic reasons. If your district has no or few homeless students, please check your data and submit revisions to EIS. When checking your McKinney-Vento serve data, recall that only the 22 districts that received McKinney-Vento subgrants in 2018-19 should identify homeless students as served by McKinney-Vento subgrants. The 22 districts listed on the next slide are subgrantees: Bedford, Bristol, Cumberland, Davidson, Hamlin, Hamilton, Hawkins, Huntingdon, Johnson City, Kingsport, Knox, Lawrence, Madison, Montgomery, Ray, Robertson, Rutherford, Shelby, Sullivan, Sumner, Warren, and Wilson. The key homeless data discrepancy involves the homeless residence code. Homeless students should be identified with the H homeless student classification in one of the 4 primary nighttime residence codes, 01, 02, 03, and 04. However, as of March, 1,231 students were flagged with only a homeless residence code. Most of these students are not homeless in 2018-19. The homeless residence code rolled over from the prior year. Use the homeless student list research query to identify these discrepancies. The homeless student classification will be listed as N, and the primary nighttime residence code will be coded as a value between 01 and 04. Please remove the residence code from your student information system and restage your data in EIS. Also, work with your vendor to ensure that the homeless residence codes do not roll over to the next school year. Immigrant. As of March, 1,600 more immigrant students were identified compared to the 2017-18 school year. 51% of immigrant students were enrolled in U.S. schools for 3 or fewer years. 890 students flagged as immigrant were excluded from the immigrant count because country of birth was missing or identified as unknown, Puerto Rico, or the United States. If country of birth is missing or identified as unknown, Puerto Rico, or the United States for immigrant students in your district, please correct your data and submit revisions to CIF and EIS. Juvenile detention centers. As shown on the next slide, as of March, nearly 1,300 students were placed in the state's 17 JDCs at some point during the school year. More than 1,100 of these students had completed their placements. Instructional days totaled over 12,000 for students with completed placements. Counts below 10 were suppressed and are denoted by asterisks on the slide, as shown here. You'll see the JDC code is on the left, the facility is identified in the next column, and then the 3 data columns for total students, students with completed placements, and instructional days for students with completed placements. Turning to juvenile justice withdrawal codes. As of March, both juvenile justice withdrawal codes appear to be underutilized statewide. 541 students were identified as withdrawn to a DCS educational placement in a youth development center or a DCS-affiliated school, and only 108 students were withdrawn by court order to placements with the Department of Corrections, a local jail, or county jail. So please check your data and submit revisions as needed. Migratory students. Use the migrant student list that is posted each month in the resources folder in the TN Migrant website to identify revisions needed in the I-Migrant student classification in CIF and EIS. According to the March migrant student list, the I-Migrant student classification in EIS should be added for 90 students, should be removed for 13 students, and was correct for 391 students. Military dependents. As of March, military status of parents and guardians continued to be underreported in EIS. 124 districts identified 107 students as military dependents. However, the actual number is likely much higher. If your district has not collected military dependent status, please use a survey to collect these data for 2018-19 and add the collection to your enrollment process for 2019-20. Residential mental health classification K. As of March, 956 students were flagged with the K residential mental health student classification, compared to 1,096 for the 2017-18 school year. Runaway. A runaway is a youth under the age of 18 who leaves his or her home or residence without the permission of a parent or guardian. As of March, the number of runaways, students coded with the U student classification, increased from 79 in 2017-18 to 139 in 2018-19. Title I. It is important to keep in mind that the Title I K through 12 and Title I pre-K determinations differ, starting with Title I K through 12. There are 3 categories: a Title I school-wide or SW school, a Title I targeted assistance or TA school, and a non-Title I school. Students enrolled in grades K through 12 in a Title I school-wide school or Title I and are coded with the Title I student classification. In a Title I targeted assistance school, only students who receive Title I targeted assistance instructional or support services in grades K through 12 are Title I and are coded with the Title I T student classification. In a non-Title I school, no students are Title I. Title I pre-K. Most pre-K students are not Title I, even in Title I school-wide schools. Keep in mind that Title I pre-K status depends on whether Title I funds support the class and the student. Again, there are three categories: Title I school-wide pre-K, Title I targeted assistance pre-K, and non-Title I. Title I school-wide pre-K students are pre-K students enrolled in Title I funded pre-K classes in Title I school-wide schools. So, for example, a Title I school-wide school might have 3 pre-K classes, but only one of those classes is funded by Title I, and it enrolls 20 students. Then all 20 students in that class are Title I and are coded with the Title I-T student classification. In a Title I targeted assistance pre-K situation, pre-K students enrolled in Title I targeted assistance funded preschool classes and supported by Title I targeted assistance funds are Title I students. So a school might have one Title I targeted assistance class in which 20 students are enrolled. But if only 15 of those students are supported by Title I targeted assistance funds, then only those 15 students are Title I and coded with the Title I-T student classification. Pre-K students enrolled in state, local, grant, and IDA-funded preschool classes are not Title I students and are not coded with the Title I-T student classification. There are 2 major discrepancies that affect the Title I data. Title I students tend to be under-identified in grades K through 12. As shown in the table below, for the state, 14,000 more students have been enrolled in Title I school-wide schools in 2018-19 than have been flagged as Title I-T. On the other hand, Title I students tend to be over-identified in pre-K. The 58 schools that offer Title I funded preschool classes have identified 750 Title I students, but nearly 6,000 pre-K students have been flagged erroneously as Title I-T in schools that do not offer Title I funded preschool classes. So please do check your data and submit revisions where needed. To determine whether your district has Title I preschool classes, review the Title I preschool list that CPM posts in ePlan. Go to TDO Resources, Title I Schools in Tennessee, and search by year. Alternatively, you may check your district's consolidated application. LEAs identify Title I funded preschool classes in their consolidated applications. Next, we'll review how to check your data in EIS. To check your data in EIS, log in as a district or school user. Select Data Reports and Research Queries. Choose a research query from the left side of the screen. To review CPM data, choose English language learners, homeless student list, immigrant students, staff current assignments, student classifications, student withdrawals, and targeted assistance list. For example, to check your foster care data, choose the Student Classifications Research query. Select Student Classifications and Foster Care, FOSSO1. Enter year as 2018 for the 2018-19 school year. Select a school or all schools. To run the query, select View Report. Download in CSV or Excel format using the file icon to the right of Find Next. The research query results follow a standard format. school and student identifiers are on the left. The variable of interest, foster care, FOSTA1, is on the right. To summarize, log into EIS as a district or school user. Select data reports and research queries. Choose a research query from the list on the left side of the screen. Enter year as the fall part of the school year, 2018 for 2018-19. In the school box, select a school or all schools. Choose other filters if desired, for example, grade, gender, or race ethnicity. Select View Report on the right side of the screen. To download the data in CSV or Excel format, select the file icon to the right of Find Next. Resources and contacts. For additional information, use the links on this slide to access the CPM Data Mini-Webinars on 8 topics from the CPM Data Manual: EIS, English learners, homeless, immigrant, juvenile justice, migrant, military status of parent and legal guardian, Title I. The links are also available in ePlan. Go to TDO Resources, Consolidated Planning and Monitoring, CPM Data, Webinar Presentations and Recordings, Data Mini-Webinars. A login to ePlan is not required to access the links to the recordings. For additional details on each topic, please use the link on this slide to access the CPM Data Manual. The manual is also available in ePlan. Again, go to TDO Resources, Consolidated Planning and Monitoring, CPM Data. Or visit the department's Planning and Monitoring Guidance and Reference Materials webpage. If you have questions, please contact Trish Kelly about data, trish.kelly@tn.gov. If you have questions about the EL and immigrant programs, please contact jan.lanier@tn.gov and katie.barcy@tn.gov. If you have questions about ePlan, please contact melissa.brown@tn.gov. If you have questions about the foster care and non-traditional educational programs, please contact daniel.frummel@tn.gov, aaron.christian@tn.gov, and Jackie Jacobson@tn.gov. For questions about the migrant program, please contact jan.lanier@tn.gov. For questions about economically disadvantaged and Title I students, please contact allison.lerma@tn.gov. For questions about family engagement, please contact bryn.obermiller@tn.gov. For questions about homeless and runaway students, please contact Justin Singleton at justin.singleton@tn.gov. And for questions about equitable services, please contact keith.woodruff@tn.gov. Thank you for joining me in this webinar. I hope it was helpful to you. Please contact us if you have questions.